Well, all right. Welcome to the stream, y'all. What do we have today? Today is a recap. And before we proceed, I'd like to let you know that the Discord is open. So if you want to chime in, if you want to jump in and have a little conversation about AI and vibe coding and anything in between, you're welcome. Feel free to chime in. The voice channel is open. So drop by and say hi. So today, what do we have? So we have the recap of my journey to building my startup and to actually vibe code 20 plus projects. Started October, actually November last year, and here we are, June 1st. So what do we have here? So November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Whoa, yeah. That's pretty much 8 months, guys. So let's say 7 months. Yeah, 7 months, 20 plus projects. I would say about 25, but what I deem viable, MVPs, things that I could either sell or develop further, we're talking about 20 solid projects, right? So it wasn't without its ups and downs. You know, vibe coding in general is it's a brand new thing. In fact, I started vibe coding before vibe coding was even a thing because I started in November last year, October, November. And Andre Karpathy didn't really coin the phrase or the term till February of this year. So I'm the OG of vibe coding. So, and with 20 plus projects under my belt to prove a point. And again, it wasn't always easy. It wasn't all roses, because remember when these new AI coding assistants hit the scene, they were less than perfect, to be generous, and a lot of things that we can do today, it wasn't possible last year. And I went through the ringer. They put me through the ringer. First of all, when Windsurf and Cursor, when they dropped, I jumped on those immediately and I started experimenting. And one of the first projects that I actually vibe coded was MQuiz. MQuiz, let me put this up here for a second. Here's MQuiz. I'm going to highlight it for you guys. Here's MQuiz. That was the first project ever. And I started it in Python and did a bunch of things, to try to make it feel and sound as good as possible. It was a challenge because it was um, it was tough to kind of work on the logic where the AI itself was messing up when it comes to music theory because the app is centered around music, advanced music theory. And the reason I went with that project first because they always tell you whether you're a writer or a composer or a programmer or whatever, just do write or talk about what you know. And music was one of the things that I know because I studied music. So that was one thing that I know I can dig deep and try to get something that's meaningful, something that could basically be useful to some people. So I dug in and certain concepts that was when I was putting the logic together, a lot of the concepts I had to kind of fish for a lot of information, through the Python document base, and it was knowledge base rather, and it was kind of challenging because remember the context window of these early AI coding agents was very limited. You did something, and then um, to interactions later, it has no idea what it just did to interactions earlier. So you had to constantly be coaxing it and pushing it in the right direction. It was quite challenging. And something as simple as putting, for instance, um, the logic for the major scale together. So once you give it the formula, a whole, half, whole, half, right? Anybody who knows about music theory knows about that, because you have the distance between the notes. You have a whole tone, and then a half tone, whole tone, and a half tone, right at the top. So you get the octave. Even that proved to be challenging for the AI, and although it should have known that, but I imagine that AI wasn't really trained with a data set when it comes to music, but then you could kind of feed it the information, and it kind of goes and find things that you feed it through documents and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, that was the easy part, right? That was the easy part. But once we got to more complicated things like enharmonic tones, for instance, trying to tell the AI, hey, when I ask you for a minor second, right, from C, a minor second from C cannot be a C sharp. So then the AI was confused. Oh, yes, you're right. And I had to break it down. Okay, from C to C sharp, the fundamental note is still a C, so it's not a second. A C to a C is one. It's the 1 degree. Okay, even though you advanced half a step, but it's still a C sharp. So it's a unison, right? So one, basically C to C on the same note, not C and then C an octave higher. That's an octave. That means 8 notes, right? So I had to explain to the LLM that from a C to a C sharp, right? It's an augmented first. It's not a minor second. From C to D flat is a minor second. So when you look at the logic, so it was kind of complicated to explain. And in the end, it was really tedious. So, I started the project, crashed the project, start over. It was so many false starts. And because you get to a point where it's not really worth it anymore trying to troubleshoot or trying to debug and fix things. It's easier to just trash the whole thing and start from scratch. And that's what I ended up doing for a lot of this project, that first project. So it was a bit of it was quite a steep learning curve, and an exercise in patience. If you go back to my channel, if you go back, you'll see the first videos. There was a lot of cursing, a lot of uh, a lot of caps, all caps, and a lot of f bombs dropped, and it was frustrating. But at the same time, I knew that that was probably going to be the worst it was going to be ever, and it was going to exponentially get better and better. It did get, and it's still getting better. We're still not seeing the best of AI coding assistants. The best is yet to come. Trust me on this. So the journey continued when we got to more. Certain concepts was pretty easy for the AI assistant to understand. For instance, the circle of faith, right? And once it understood the major scale, then we got to the minor scale, then we got to the modes, right? Then we experimented with different minor scale flavors, harmonic minor, melodic minor, and then the pentatonic scale. Then we didn't really get into Greek scale and Chinese scales and all, Arabic scales and stuff like that. Or micromodal scales. So we try to keep it a little more Western. And for the most part, it was pretty satisfying. Where where the AI could finally sort of understand that. Oh, okay, I get it now. This is what you mean. So the enharmonic concept, right? So it's the same note could bear two different names, but essentially it's the same note, but it's not. It's the same sound, but it doesn't bear the same name because of the context, right? If you, for instance, say, you know, what's a minor third above C? A minor third above C can never be a D sharp. It's always going to be an E minor. You know what I mean? And so it's pretty much the concept is became really clear for the AI when it understood the fundamentals. Hey, Vivek Media, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, sure. What am I building? Today, I'm actually not building anything, as you can see in the title. Is my startup journey. So today's the recap. There's something that I'm going to showcase a little later, but what I'm showcasing here today is a recap of the journey of building 20 projects. Started last year in November. Basically, vibe coded 20, over 25, but 20 that I deem real good MVPs that I could either sell or deploy myself. So that's what I'm talking about today. And today, what I'm going to show you is basically the landing page for my startup, which is Indio AI, and talk a little bit about the journey. So that's what we're doing. So if you want to talk, if you have any questions, you can ask me here, or you can jump into Discord. The voice channel is open, so you could we could have a little conversation, about AI, whatever. So feel free to jump in. All right. So let's continue. So yeah, so with M quiz, so things got a little easier once I started feeding the AI coding assistant the a bunch of documents, and then that project eventually, a school was actually interested in using the app for their for the musical curriculum. And I actually did a presentation last year in December. So I vibe coded it in November and December. I had an MVP just to showcase. So I did a presentation for them, and so it's still in development. But then I put it aside because I also want to have a couple of features that proved to be problematic in the beginning because um, I wanted to have two options for tutoring. You have a human tutor option, and also you have an AI tutor. And I think it gives you the best of both worlds, or you can use both, or you choose one or the other. So that's still in development. But what ended up happening just recently, I believe last month, I revisited the project. Then I ditched Python and I recoded it in Next.js and React Native for the mobile app. And it's way better. It's leaps and bounds ahead of what I did last year. And it took me way less time to put the logic together because now the AI coding assistants is far more advanced than they were last year. And, when Cursor and Windsurf just dropped. And I couldn't be happier. So that's where we are with M Quiz. M Quiz is music quiz. It's just a working title. I don't know if I'm going to keep that name, but that's what it is. So at the end of the day, vibe coding projects, it's not all rosy. Don't get me wrong. It has its challenges, but it's very satisfying because once you get to a point where you you develop a system, right? Because without a system, you're going to be chasing your tail endlessly. So you got to develop a system where you can spin things really quickly. So that's pretty much what I ended up doing. So develop a system where I build boilerplates where I could literally say, if I'm going to spin a project with a Next.js, React Native, with Vite or with TurboPack, or if I'm going to deploy something with, Shad CN or any other um, component library, then I'm able to do that real quickly by developing these systems. All right, Vivek Media. Say so. Like, how do you work on the projects? Do you finish a project then start another one, or you work on both at once? Like, do you even deploy and tell people about them? Well, Vivek Media, the challenge that I started last year was not to start deploying right away. I basically build all the projects. What I do is I build them to an MVP status, right? Let's say alpha, where it's functional, where it's not just um, static pages. I develop them locally. Some of them and with Docker, to develop locally, and then some of them are actually experimented a little bit with Superbase for auth and webhooks and stuff like that. So I haven't deployed anything to this day because the challenge was 20 projects up until the end of last month, up until yesterday actually, May 31st. And as you can see on the list on the screen, these are the 20 projects that I developed. They are all developed to MVP status where I could demo them for anybody. So the point was not to deploy them and release anything. Now is the time that I start basically deploying things. Yeah. Hey, thanks. Hey, Carl B. Wonderful holistic world. Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. And remember, the Discord's open, so if you want to jump in and have a little conversation, it's all good. Come on in, let's chop it up, talk about AI, vibe coding, and all that type of stuff. All right. Oh, okay. Vok. Oh, okay. I'm not even gonna attempt that. It's Vok or V Walk? V Woke. All right, cool. Yeah. So Carl B, this is the recap of my journey. Started last year, November, building 20. As you see the list on the screen, I build 25 plus projects. Oh, all right, got it. Vok or Vok. I think so because again, writing it doesn't give me the real pronunciation. I'm sorry for butchering it, but sometimes we if it's not common, if it's not John or Paul or Mary, we kind of get lost a little bit in the pronunciation. But excuse my butchering the pronunciation of your name or your company name. Yeah, so Carl B. So the goal was 20 projects in 6 months, and the deadline was yesterday. So as you can see on the screen, that's 20 projects. But I've vibe coded way more than that. But these have achieved um, alpha status, MVP status. So I can basically just demo these, whether they're iOS and Android, with a landing page or e-commerce or whatever. It's all there with the backend because I usually code. I vibe code the backend as well. So so everything's pretty much an alpha status. So some of them I will start publishing myself, and some of them, I got some interest, so I'll sell a few of them, or most of them, because there's no way I'm going to be able to launch 20 projects without spreading myself too thin. So that's what's going on. And yeah, so 20 projects. It's been an adventure, trust me. When these tools dropped last year, it was kind of challenging to get things done because the context windows were so small. You know, it doesn't. It doesn't inspire a lot of. You can't do long sessions because you had to switch windows. But once you switch chats, then the whole context is gone. You have to start from scratch. So you had to create, for instance, cursor rules and all types of things. All right, my man, Vork Media asked me, what does Ndio mean? Ndio, Ndio, Ndio means, actually, it means yes, and Swahili, and then it's an African language. So Ndio means yes. And there's no really meaning behind it other than it means yes. So it's a positive word. So I kind of liked it, and I researched it, found it, and then yeah. Um, so I'm acquiring and I'm using it. All right. So yeah, the AI coding assistants are way better than they were just a few months ago. There's just a few short months ago. Let's say 6 months ago, things are significantly improved. They have improved by leaps and bounds. And now you got stuff like, you know, you got stuff like Augment Code, which I use, Zen Code. You got things like, Manus AI, which could do wonderful things, beautiful things. And it's just one of those things where you think to yourself, a couple of years ago, it would have been impossible for me to have MVPs for all these projects. Um, oh yeah, why did I choose Swahili? Why? Why did I choose Swahili? I chose it because it's unique, and it's not something that you hear often. And I think I guess I consider myself a Pan Africanist because I'm for the African cause. I uh, you know I want to see the continent evolve. I want to see the continent progress and embrace AI and technology. So, and I've developed some solutions for the African continent because I think it's the next frontier. Um, if you look at what's happening in the world right now, who's on the rise, right? You have India, you have China, and you have Africa. America, Europe, that's old country. There's a lot, whatever needed to be done there, it's been done. Right now, Africa, India, and Asia and Africa, because India, of course, is Asia. What am I saying? China, India, and Africa. These are the only places where you could build Fortune 500 companies within 5 years. Okay, and then you'll see that more and more, and it's going to happen more and more. So you started vibe coding in 2022. That's awesome. Yeah, man. What did you use when you first started vibe coding in 2022? Yeah, because I remember 2022. What was I using? Google Colab. That was That was the thing, when, kind of started image generation, stuff like that, NFTs and so on and so forth. So I kind of messed around, but I didn't consider that vibe coding. It was just, experimenting with Google Colab and, doing things that wasn't really usable per se, but it gave you an idea. It was a precursor to what the real vibe coding is doing now, in my opinion, anyway. So, what were you vibe coding with back in 2022? I'm curious now. Tell me. Okay, cool. So Carl B, yeah, yeah, Google Studio is pretty cool, and if try Firebase Studio also. Now, of course, it's a little bit more advanced, but yeah, there was so many options right now. It's crazy, it's crazy. If you're not vibe coding, if you're not creating anything, and I mean, it's your loss because the more you immerse yourself in the vibe, the more you'll also learn. And the more you'll be ahead of the curves. Put it this way. Because just chat GPT, cool. Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was hard because again, it wasn't the context window was so tiny. You couldn't really do you can do complex, multi-page, JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Everything was literally on one page, right? Even if you were able to do multi-page, builds, the context window was so small. And if you start a new chat, then the context is gone. So you have to start from scratch, or you bring it into VS Code and then you continue yourself. But it's pretty challenging. Yeah, it was quite hard, and uh, yeah, I mean, okay, Canva Code. I never actually messed around with that. I never tried that. Um, Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is one thing you don't really hear about anymore. Prompt engineering. When last year and a couple of years ago, everything was, oh, you got to become a prompt engineer. But now with just simple language, you don't really need to be a prompt engineer anymore. Just simple language, and especially things like, for instance, right now when I'm using Augment Code, it has a feature that enhances your prompt for you. But I never actually used it because it understands context, it understands um, natural language, so you don't really need to be a master, prompt engineer. Not anymore. Not in 2025 anyway. Yeah, actually, Augment is. I'll be doing a breakdown of Augment soon. It's easier than you think. The main thing about Augment Code is the fact that it indexes your code base, the entire code base, right? And it creates a map of your project, so it knows it has a huge context window. So when you, for instance, if you change something on let's say your landing page, it knows that if I let's say your login modal, right? If it changed something here, it knows by changing this small thing, right? It has to go and change the API, change the endpoint, and then change the call function, and then change the whatever that database schema that's attached to it. So it understands the full chain of operation. It understands the concept. So you don't have to point it to, oh, wait, since you changed this, then there's going to be a domino effect. You got to change this and that and that and that and that. It understands the full context and then it does it all for you. It is not perfect. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I can't really stress it enough. This is one of the best that I've used, and my whole journey of vibe coding for 6 7 months. And this is not a plug. I don't work for them. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not getting paid anything to say this. It's just truly, it is one of the best, largest contacts when it comes to understand the code base and do that. But it gets stupid sometimes. It's not perfect. So I've castigated it a lot of times. Just she's like, "What are you doing? Yeah, dude, you're messing up. All right." Dropped a lot of f bombs on it, and then of course it understands that. Okay, don't do that again. But also now it has a memory, so you could say, "All right, never do this." Or for instance, for me, when I'm if I'm developing things with a stack, for instance Next.js, Node.js, and now I have my app running for iOS with Expo, where I could basically scan the QR code and I access it through my mobile devices, right, for testing and development. Then I run the back end, right, the admin, then I run the front end. So I usually like to do my server, right, on port 3000, my admin on 3001, and my front end on 3002. So once I include those in the memory, so it knows always run these things, because otherwise it's always going to run them on different ports. It's going to keep switching ports. And if the port is busy, just kill all processes on the port and rerun the same process on the specified port, so it understands all these contexts. So it's quality of life, and you understand where you don't have to keep chasing the AI to kind of fix this, fix that. It has a certain set of rules. Use these rules, and then do not delete, deviate from these rules, and it's great for that. Okay, what do we have here? And I can okay, I've already seen that. Okay, Scared of Advance. Okay, that's Carl. Right now, I'm using Cursor, Tray, Augment, Firebase Studio, and just ChatGPT and Claude for research and prototyping. Yeah, that's a good stack. Yeah. Um. Yeah, of course, Firebase Studio. I haven't really messed around with it, which I'm probably going to get into it a little bit more now. Cursor. I used Cursor extensively when it first came out, and Windsurf. Tray also. I actually trashed Tray the other day because up until a couple of days ago, it was all free, but it was unusable. You couldn't really, you were constantly being put in a queue of 700 freaking, uh, uh, wait time, and 500 for. I'm like, nah, nobody got time for that. But it just introduced a paid subscription model, so which I'm happy about that. And I think they do have a special going on for as little as $3. You can get started. So I'm definitely going to try it out again. Yeah, Trey's pretty good. When it first came out as well, and I had interacted with the developers a little bit. Yeah, it's solid IDE, but then it became unusable before they introduced the paid subscription. So I'm going to try it again and see how it fares. We'll see how it goes. Carl B, my struggle is affordable database and backend. Yeah, well, affordable database and backend, you have two main choices, and depends on your use case. You may choose to go with Superbase, which has a really generous free tier, right? Try them out, and then I think you won't pay till, I don't remember, but read about it. You can research it. Research Firebase. You'll see what exactly what's allowed, what's not allowed, and how much you can use it for free. And I think it's 50,000 users a month for free, which is pretty generous. You know what I mean? So to get started, or Firebase, or go with Firebase. Firebase, you could do a lot of things for free to a certain point, but once you start scaling up, it might get pretty expensive, because again, it's Google, but the infrastructure is there. Uptime, is quite significant. It's of course, it's a closed source platform, so you got to deal with that. And Superbase is open source, but then you could up to pay for you could for for the premium package. So these are your options. I haven't really experimented with anything else. I know there's Vercel, but I know Vercel you do have to pay. I don't know about the free, if they have a free tier. I don't even know. But yeah, Supabase and Firebase. These are your two options. So check them out. Do a little research and then see what works best for you. Yeah. So where were we? We were, yeah, M quiz, right? Can you show me how Ndio works? The first page, huh? This one. This one's basically going to be my landing page. This is my sort of my starter page. Yeah, right. Trey is. I know they didn't want to. They refused VC money because they wanted to focus on gather as much information as possible, train the LLM as much as possible. But I guess now they're ready. So the subscription model is quite generous as well. It's quite cheap. So, all right, Indio AI. Let me show you the. First, I'm gonna show you the landing page. Then I'm gonna show you the back end. So this is it. Okay, let's get rid of the QR code. So this is it. Well, Agriscan is a little more complex. Okay, it's a little bit more complicated. And Agriscan is not actually running right now because I'm running, as you can see. To explain Agriscan, I'm not going to be able to show you the visuals. It's going to be verbal. So before we get to that, okay. So as you can see right now, in the VS Code, that's what's running. It's Indio AI. That's the platform. So remember, this is a recap. So let me just be systematic about it. Then I'll explain Agriscan. So Indio AI is basically, it's a solution-based platform where we'll offer these, AI agent solutions. That's, pretty much where everything's headed, right? So we got H for HR recruitment, lead generation, business automation, all sorts of different things. And then we explain how it works and blah, blah, blah. Of course, these are mock. This is not going to be there once I launch because we don't have any, we haven't basically launched yet. So we can't have what clients say testimonials. And here, again, this is going to be where our projects live. All right. So to get started, and this is pretty much the landing page. So to get started, then you could either create an account, or if you already have an account, you could use Google Auth or log in, right? And this is the back end, all right? So pretty extensive. This is the dashboard analytics. We measure everything. Here we have user management. Also a blog, which is going to be, we could generate, blog posts with AI. It's AI generated blog posts, or you could repurpose, any article or anything in the video transcripts and stuff like that. So that also could be pushed as a newsletter, right? So here we have content management. So where we could basically manage the full site. So these are our components. Hero page section, about, contact form, service section, privacy policy, and all that. So we could change everything on the fly. And here, this is where the brains of the operations, AI training. So we could train our own LLM to do certain things. So you could add a new model, you could do different things. So this is, right, you can view detail. Of course, now this is not running, so you won't see anything. Then where we could generate leads, create leads, and do all sorts of things. Clients. in our setting page where I get notification profile security, IP access. We could block IP, whitelist, blacklist, security incidents, threats, threat detection, right? Compliance, and API key management. And that's pretty much it. So this is Indio AI. Yeah, thanks. So so as you can see, it's pretty much MVP status, alpha status. And in fact, this could be launched right now, right? Or before I launch anything, and we have to go through strict testing and security audit and stuff like that, because especially because there's going to be a paywall, for clients. So whenever you have a paywall involved, you have to make sure that your data is secure, and you got to do the right thing, because people are going to trust you with their credit information and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much that. So Agriscan. Okay, so you wanted to hear about Agriscan. So is there any particular reason that Agriscan caught your eye, or maybe you were doing something similar? Number 15, yeah, yeah. Tell me. All right. So shall I proceed with Agriscan, or maybe you're still typing? I don't see you typing though. So Agriscan. Um, what AI am I using right now? Augment, Augment Code, and sometimes Zen Coder. Also Klein and RuCode here and there. Okay, but I use a multitude of tools when I'm putting the PRD together. I may use as many as 4 or 5 different tools just to get the best roadmap possible. I've used Claude, ChatGPT, of course, Perplexity, Manus AI, and Google Studio sometimes. So it depends on the use case. I might use a combination of all 5, or sometimes 2, sometimes 3, and I find I get the best results when before I start building. Then I put my roadmap, my PRD, my roadmap together, and then from the bigger scale of the project, then I put my MVP roadmap together, and that's pretty much that's my um, that's my workflow. All right, so Agriscan is a project that I actually put together specifically for the continent of Africa. And I mean, it could be used anywhere, but I think people could benefit from it a whole lot. It's basically a an agricultural um, product. Yeah, it's a system to manage a seed bank, and a farm or a garden. It doesn't matter. You could use it at any level. So basically, the seed bank will allow you to. I have worked with farmers, so I want to know what is. There you go. That's good. So that will allow you to basically catalog your seed bank, and because seeds don't live forever. If you've worked with farmers, you know that in order for you to preserve your seeds, you have to have a system where you catalog them. Everything's dated because they're not going to survive past a certain point. And periodically, you have to take them out and do germination tests and pesticide resistant, that type of stuff. So my back end for the seed bank will allow you to periodically monitor your seed bank and bring seeds out for germination tests, and then you could basically catalog germination percentage, because you set a threshold. If it's below a certain threshold, then of course you got to basically rethink your storage facility, whether it's mold infested, or whether it's the humidity level is too high or too low. There were so many variables, so you got to take those into consideration. Um, Okay, I have worked with farmers. I saw that already. That's what I wanted. Maybe I could be something. Maybe it could be something they want. I mean the API, right? Because the API, I experimented with different things, right? But I haven't. Yeah, I got you. I haven't really settled on one particular LLM, because what I want to do is train an LLM specifically for that. But I was experimenting a little bit on Hugging Face. I used the Quen 3 model, and I also used, what else did I use? I used quite a few. I experimented with DeepSeek a little bit when it came out, but the results weren't great because the data set is not available in those models. So I have to be more specific which model that I use. But I think in order for me to be more accurate, I will have to train a model specifically, even though a preceded model, and then distill it and then retrain it with my own data set to be more accurate, right? So that's the seed bank sort of um, hook into the whole project. Then you have the farm management, where you could do soil analysis. You could do disease prevention or disease analysis. Through your camera, you could basically just scan a plant, and it'll tell you if the soil is phosphorus depleted, if it needs more fertilizer or too much water or not enough water, that type of stuff. So there are quite a few things that are involved in AgriScan that I think would be quite beneficial. And also there's a way to, again, attach the camera to a drone, where you'd be able to fly over an area to look at, to maximize your irrigation, to maximize your water consumption, that type of stuff. So this is what AgriScan is all about. What I used to prompt this particular project, I use VS Code, right? VS Code as my IDE, but I used a combination of Augment and Zencoder, and here and there Klein or RuCode. Depends on the use case, depends on what I'm doing. And oftentimes, if you look through my channel, you see oftentimes I vibe code 8, 10, 12 hours. So sometimes you hit hard limits. So I switch providers just so I could continue. That's why. Yeah, you need the analysis for scanning plants, right? Is that, or scanning anything? Is that what you're talking about, Carl B? Yeah. All right. Let's wait for Carl B to respond. So in the meantime, guys, if you're coming into the stream, do me a huge favor, drop a like, because the more likes, the more the algorithm will push the stream to more people. And as you can see, we are on track to on the road rather to 500 subscribers, and we're halfway there. So let's give us a push. Drop a like if you haven't subscribed. Do so. That'll push us closer to our goal, and so I can bring you guys more content on AI coding, and yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, for sure, Carl B. Just join the Discord. Here's the QR code. You could either scan the QR code or the link is in the description. Just join the fam, and I'll be sharing a lot of stuff there, and some stuff on GitHub as well. Because right now I've only released one project on GitHub. A lot of it is all these you see right now. These are private because some of them might become commercially available. So if I sell them to somebody, they would not want to be able to share. They wouldn't want to share the code publicly. So that's why I'm going to be selective as to what I share on GitHub. But in the meantime, there's one project on GitHub that I already shared that's open source 100%. But for AgriScan, yeah, I could share snippets. Like, if you're working on something similar, we could definitely talk about, how I can, what I can share with you, and then to see how you can use that into your project, which is, which is pretty cool. It's quite satisfying, when you put it together and then you fire up your phone and then boom, and it's available. You scan and then it's there. And I've done some pesticide scans, and it wasn't 100% accurate, but I got into this 65-70% accuracy, which is not great, but again it's encouraging, without even having a fully trained LLM under the hood, so to speak. But it's pretty cool. It was pretty satisfying to get it to work. Craig B. Yes. Scanning anything, how to create. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. So predominantly, Carl B. What do you want? What do you need to achieve? Are you going to be developing for iOS and Android, or just one or the other? What are your plans? Yes. Yeah. AgriScan is actually it's both the the platform, the web application itself allows users to log into a dashboard to do certain things, clerical things or things that doesn't really require the use of a camera, scanning and be in the field. If you're back at the office or whatnot, your laptop or your tablet, you're able to access your dashboard where you could do things, update your seed bank, do different things and enter, do data entry, that type of stuff. But it is an app, iOS and Android, where you could basically take your phone or your tablet with you in the field and where you can scan different plants, fruits, whatever, soil for soil sampling. And for future, probably for version 2 or and beyond, the plan is to have an API to attach to probes where you could actually do real soil sampling by inserting a probe into the soil, or infrared modules, or aerial mapping, that type of stuff. So there were a lot of possibilities to expand the capabilities of the mobile application. Okay, holistic African practitioner for. Okay, explain, Carl B. What do you mean? I think you mean you are a holistic African practitioner. Oh, okay. Yes. All right, I see you. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's actually quite interesting. That could be, yeah, that could be something that's again for diagnostics, to diagnose certain skin conditions and stuff like that. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, Carl B. Okay, who do we have here? Sohail, have you tried using Kiko or Kaiko? I don't know how to pronounce that. Kiko, I guess. Kiko code. No, I have not. Maybe I should look into that. Tell me about it. Tell me more. I'm always open to try new things. I tried Zed in the beginning, but uh huh. Oh, really? So I'm actually running Rue Code and Klein here as well, here and there. But I'll definitely check it out. Thank you. Thanks, Sohail, thanks for the rec, man. Thanks for the recommendations. Yeah, very nice. They're giving away $20 free credits. Yeah, and it's pretty good. Cool. It's an extension just like Rue Code. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm gonna try it right now. Definitely. Call B. Holistic. We rely heavy on plants. Okay. So are you a botanist, Call B? Are you a botanist or a healer, or what exactly do you do? Yeah, Junior Z. Yeah, definitely. Listen, the landscape is. I mean, I think it's great. At the end of the day, competition is good because remember last year there was the new kids on the block and the big kahunas on campus were Cursor and Windsurf. And then you started seeing a lot of drops. People started dropping stuff. Trey AI, and of course you had Klein, RuCode, and all these other tools. And now you got Google Firebase Studio. You got Zed. You got Trey AI. There were so many tools. You got Augment Code, Zen Coder. There were so many tools, and at this particular point in time, you have to pick and choose because you can't use them all. You know what I mean? You got to pick and choose what works for you. And for me, Augment Code has been the best ever because of the context window. It was massive, and you could do so much, and pretty accurate. Not perfect because nothing's perfect, but trust me and you, this is the worst it's ever going to be. It gets better from here on out. Oh, cool. That's what's up, Carl. So you're all right. Cool. You're a healer. Yeah, definitely. I had a conversation last night with this gentleman, and we were talking about how we can use AI to enhance the human consciousness, right? And the conversation veers towards AI could be used for good or for bad, and it's up to us to use it for holistic purposes. And I endorse that 100%. Yeah, definitely, Carl. I mean, if you if you want to share, what you're doing, we could talk about it on the Discord if you don't want to talk about it here, your project. But we could discuss that we can discuss that privately in the Discord. Just join in if you haven't done so. And I see we got 6 viewers right now, and I still haven't seen my likes going up, guys. So drop the likes, guys. It's free. It'll help us push the stream to more people and more engagement in the chat. I'd be much appreciated. So cool. Okay, Justin, Stitch Google. Okay. Jules, yes. Actually, do you have access? Who has access to Jules and Stitch Google? Definitely, Sohail. Yeah, check it out. And they have a pretty generous, free, not really free, but free trial. Yes, 14 days. Yeah, check it out. It's pretty cool. So, Carl B, do you have who has access to? Oh, you did. Yeah, cool. Yeah, for the longest time, Augment was completely free with no limits. But then it started costing them a lot of money because it costs a lot of money. Especially they use Claude Sonnet 3.7, and then now they just migrated to Claude Sonnet 4. And I guess they had to raise their prices as well. So they went from $30 a month to now $50 a month. So it's not the cheapest, but I think it's worth it. $50 a month is worth it for Augment Code. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Yeah. What were we talking about? Yeah, Jules. I believe. Yeah, I just got an email from them that I said, yeah, you're in. So I haven't had time to check it out yet, but I know that I have access to it now. But I'm definitely gonna check it out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Augment Code, guys. Do yourself a favor. Just get the extension for VS Code or whatever you use. I think it's for JetBrains as well, VS Code, and one more thing I can't remember. I think it's Vim. So check it out. It's really worth it. It's really really worth it. And again, disclaimer: I don't work for them. I'm not an affiliate. Nothing. They don't pay me to say anything. I just genuinely enjoyed working with that tool, and it was yeah. I used it extensively. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I guess in the beginning, Augment Code really they actually they wanted data. They wanted a vast amount, a huge amount of data for to train their AI. So they kept it open. But then remember, with the gate wide open, then you have a lot of usage. So their servers were getting hit massively, and I know I was probably one of them. I hit those servers hard, and of course, at some point they had to, all right, scale back and say, all right, cool. So now they're going to be restrictions. Then they started putting limits, and they would freeze you out for 12 hours, sometimes 8 hours, and it was just nuts. But it's they're a business, so they have shareholders to answer to. So I couldn't have imagined that it was going to be free forever. So now, but it's a good tool nonetheless. But you're right. Once they start doing these things, um, they it got a little crappy. Yeah. So that's pretty good, guys. So where were we? So I was talking about the journey, right, and where we are. So this is the list of this is the list of everything that I've vibe coded for the past 6 months. And when you think about it, just a few short years ago, it would have been virtually impossible to have so many projects in such a short span of time without having a massive team. That means, your research team, you gotta go to wireframing, you gotta do the design, then you gotta pass it along to your dev team, your front end, your back end, and it's just, you know, and by the time you get something that's workable, it's you waste, 12 to 18 months. And now there are 20 projects which are in MVP status, alpha status, where I could literally demo them for anybody right now. Some of them have the full stack, iOS, Android, a landing page, dashboard to manage everything. So it's astonishing. It is amazing, right? Okay, Irving Zamora. But it kind of went under the radar. Not many people are even talking about it now. You're talking about augment code, right? Cursor and windsurf is most of the talk. Yeah, it is true. And then the funny thing is, it's always been the case, right, Irving? Uh, I think what ended up happening is I view cursor and windsurf as they're akin to the Republican Party, and augment is like the the Democrats. The Republicans do something, everybody will know about it. They're great marketers, but the Democrats have a hard time explaining a very simple concept. But I think augments code when it comes to marketing or being out there and shout from the mountaintops. They're a little timid about that. That's why nobody knows about it. A lot of whenever I drop augment here, a lot of people say, "Oh, I've never heard of augment. I'm gonna try it out." And the thing is, they're a great tool, but they're not out there shouting about it. I don't know if it's because they don't have the ad money, the advertising money, or they just act like Democrats and they don't want to, they don't want to be brash about it. They don't want to boast, and brag about it. Come on, you earn it, man. They earn it because they're a great tool, but they're just not doing it. So I don't know. I don't know how to rationalize it. It's just it baffles me. But it is what it is. Yeah. So go ahead, guys. If you haven't dropped a like, drop a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel on the road to 500 subscribers. I know it's not a lot. There are channels out there with millions and millions of subscribers. But hey, one step at a time. Okay. This is a new channel and we want to build it up. So subscribe and drop a like so the algorithm could push it to more people so we have more engagement here. But yeah, definitely. So we're talking about AI, right? We're talking about vibe coding. We're talking about LLMs. So if you want to jump into the conversation, also the Discord's open. Okay, the voice channel is open. So if you want to come in and chop it up instead of typing, if you want to talk about it, jump into the Discord channel. In fact, let me bring it up right now. Boom, there it is. It's right here. Discord. Let me move the. Doot, 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 doot. All right, let's move this guy right here. All right, guys. Discord is up. So you want to chop it up? Hop on. I'm right here. So as you can see, let me just talk a little bit about what's on the screen right now. Let's blow this up a bit. All right. So these are the projects. These are the projects that I vibe coded over the past 6 months. Okay. DOAI, which is what's on the screen right now. That's the main Startup page. There it is. Ascendio AI. So next, this is what we're going to get into: building solutions for businesses, right? Custom AI agents, stuff like that, right? And here we are. So what do we have? We do have a list. Okay, let's get to the dashboard. All right, great. So here's a list of all the projects. As you can, what I just showed you guys, Indio AI. MQuiz was actually the very first project that I coded using Cursor and Windsurf. That was last year in November. And I was in Python. Then I just recently re-coded the whole thing in React Native for the mobile apps, and Next.js for the web implementation. Then we have AOTC. That's actually a directory website, and Cooler 2 again is another directory. Glycemic Go. This is another, again, what I use AI vision to actually scan any food item that will basically give you a yay or a nay, whether it's the food is good for diabetics or not. And it will give you a, it will, it will suggest a substitute. So if the glycemic index is too high, and it'll tell you, well, instead of having this, have that. So you can manage your sugar levels properly. So that's Glycemic Go. Thera is a therapist app. So this one is basically, it's based on geolocation. So if you want to have a therapist that's available to you via video call or voice call or chat only, or all of the above, you can get access to therapists in your area, and then you could have your stipulations whether if you're a female, you want female therapist, or vice versa. Then you could access therapists at a very significantly reduced cost, because rather than you going to a therapist. So that is that. Yes, that app also has AI vision because the Glycemic Go, yes, it does have AI vision because it'll allow you to scan food items, and it'll be able to tell you whether the glycemic index is too high for diabetics. So if you suffer from diabetes, if you're you got to be careful what you eat. If the glycemic index is too high, it might spike your sugar level. Therefore, this is going to be your companion, sort of like to keep you in check. All right. If you're not sure, scan it. It'll tell you this is not so good for you. Have this instead. So this has AI vision as well. Yeah, definitely. This is something that could help you in your vision, what you envision for your app to scan. Let's say scan the skin rash or whatever, skin condition, that type of stuff. And yeah, so AI vision it's good for that. So that's Glycemic Go, and the next app is Thera. We already talked about it. Ompath. Ompath is a meditation. It's a meditation app that will, again, it's AI driven. It will you can register your mood, what you're in the mood for, and it'll cater to your journey. Are you an experienced meditator, or are you a novice? Then it'll kind of create things for you to get into Om, right? Then we have Omniprop. Omniproperty is a property management app that will allow. We got movement in the Discord server. It will allow you to to basically manage your tenants, payment system. If you have if you have a CT,
Hello.
hey, who's in the chat? Oh, somebody just came and left. And basically, you'll be able to manage everything from there. If you have a CT, a caretaker, your caretaker will be able to book, or your tenants will be able to book repair jobs. Leaky faucet, leaky sink, whatever, and all that type of stuff. Change the light bulbs or clean the air conditioner, whatever. So this is the OmniProp. It's a property management, right? And what else? Where were we at? Salvage. Salvage is another concept because well, I was doing some research to see what sort of solutions I can build for
It's
real
Carl.
world
Carl
problems.
B.
Carl B, what's going on, brother?
Basically, you'll
How
be
you
able to
doing?
manage everything there. If you have a CT or caretaker, your caretaker will be able to book, or your tenants will be able to book,
Carl B,
repair. Yeah.
what's going on, bro?
All the type of stuff. What's up? What's up?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm okay. Just what's wondering about that AI vision, like how to incorporate it into the apps.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
Did I
it's.
keep on the right button?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward once you choose a stack, right? A tech stack. It's just you got to be mindful of that. Once you have your tech stack dialed in, and is basically now the major part that's going to be a bit
I
of a
think it's a
sticky
good.
point is basically which LLM is going
I'm
to
all right.
work best for you. You know what I mean?
Or your tenants will be able to. Carl B. Okay. Hello, wait. Yeah. What's going on, bro? Hello? Can y'all? What's up?
Yeah,
What's
I'm
up?
I'm hearing. I think you got to mute your YouTube or if you got headphones because I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, so vision. What I'm thinking, like, it's playing in the main platform. What I just said.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's playing in the main platform. What I just said, and then I don't know. This is weird. And then whoever the platform is answering it from what I just said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting a massive delay. So yeah, so right, do you have an app already? Do you have anything that's been built that you want to incorporate AI vision into it, or you just want to start from scratch? That's
Well,
what I want to know.
I may need to start from scratch because I did like a meditation app
Hmm.
off of Google Cloud. Well, AI Studio Google Cloud,
Yep.
but I scrapped it because Kabini was much better. Because Kabini walked me through it, but then I ran out of credit, so I don't have anything deployed right now. Um, but I would like to learn how to add a vision because as a healer, and with dealing with the whole holistic game, we want to scan body parts and we want to scan plants to see, you know, which one is best for herbalism purposes. So
Yep.
AI vision would be a dope thing to have.
Oh, for sure.
Along
And remember, we're barely scratching the surface right now because it gets better from here on out. You know what I mean? So now's the time to get into the game. So my question to you earlier was, do you wanna focus on one particular platform, either iOS and Android, or one or the other?
I didn't even think about that, honestly. I have an Android, so I guess I'll probably favor Android.
Okay, that's good because in fact, Android is actually harder to code that type of stuff for Android because for an Android there were so many different screen sizes and architecture. You know what I mean? Chipsets, uh, basically different manufacturers have different stipulations, and also you have Android. You got to have a
They're gonna
cutoff
go
point as well because you don't want to go back to Lollipop. You want to give it a cutoff point because otherwise you're going to be developing forever. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Android. I would recommend a good tech stack would be um, would be either Python, that way you could use TensorFlow for to actually hook into your camera, so you could basically be able to scan things in real time. But what I like personally, I like to go with React Native, right?
Hmm.
With right now, I've done it with different backends. I could use either Node.js, or I could use Post Gray SQL. There were different ways you could do it, but it all depends on the level of complexity you wanna you wanna be able to have a roadmap where you could expand later. But if you want to basically let have the opportunity to grow your app later on, to introduce full body scan, or to do things on a molecular level, you know what I mean? Then I would suggest Next.js, React Native, Node.js, that type of architecture.
I think I think Fire base. I think they work in Next.js. I think something of
Uh,
that nature. I was
y-
on their site. I think they
yeah,
do.
yes, they do use Next.js as the architecture. Uh, but also, if you develop it in Firebase Studio, right? That means you're not really locked into it, because you could always export it and then host it somewhere else. But there are certain things, because since Google is a closed source system, there are certain things you're going to be limited as to what you can do in the development cycle. But I believe you can export the project, import it into, for instance, VS Code or something, and uh, then you have more freedom to do whatever you want to do with it. But if you want to keep it simple for version one, know what I mean, it's fine. Firebase Studio is fine, but you run out of
I
credits.
never use.
Oh wait, you never use
I'm
Firebase
open.
Studio?
I'm open. No, no, I would no. I never use Firebase, but I did use Google AI Studio,
Oh, okay, yeah, Google
which
AI
doesn't
Studio.
use Firebase.
Right, right.
See, the problem with Google is that it's like they're scatterbrained. Like they have all these projects, but they really don't connect.
Well,
So hard
yeah,
talking to someone about Google when they have like 4 or 5 different projects. The same thing,
yeah, that's the
similar.
thing. Remember Google Plus back in the day? You know,
Yeah.
Google Plus was supposed to basically disrupt the whole industry. It was going to kill Facebook. It was going to kill everything. But just like anything else, like I kind of equate it to the Democrats and the Republicans. Google is like the Democrats. They can't really get the freaking messages out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that you know, so it's like, what are you guys talking about? You got Google Studio, Google AI Studio, then you got what's the other thing? LLM,
Cool.
Book LLM. It's just, guys, get your shit together. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, they got tools and Stitch and
yo, it's nuts. It's crazy. But for real though, for your project, you scrap the whole thing, or you still have some of the code available to you?
the code is available. I just undeployed it.
Oh, okay. But it's
If that
it's a
makes
wo-
sense.
it's a working prototype, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So,
So I took it off the net.
oh, okay, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's best to start fresh, but at the rate that things are actually going right now, it's best to get something out there. You know, it's not going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's to a point where it's about 60% of where you want it to be, release it, and
Hmm.
then gather information. You know what I mean? Even if you got to give free access to it, if you got to get beta testers, you give different incentives to people. Hey, if you test for me, you get lifetime access. You know what I mean? That type of stuff, or you get X amount of years for free or months for free. Then you gather information, because people love free stuff, and they're not going to sit there and test your app for you unless there's something in it for them. You know what I mean? Um, and it'll be good to put it out there and then just gather information and then get build an email list. That way, when you're ready to actually put it behind a paywall, a lot of people are not going to come,
Hmm.
convert to paid clients. But even if it's 10% or even 5% conversion, at least it'll pay for your hosting or your API keys, your API costs, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing because I see free API calls. I'm a beginner and all this, so I see like free APIs with little costs, and then I see the more expensive ones, and I'm like, well, they basically do the same thing, and I don't even know how to do an API. And then all that other stuff. All I know how to basically build a front end at this point, put the prompt in, let it go through its errors, build something beautiful.
Hmm.
But then the databases and all that. Then I read something like you could pay Versal $5 a month for like databases. It's like a real generous plan,
True.
and so I don't know.
No, no, it's cool
I'm
because
thinking,
here's one thing you gotta know also. Yes, vibe coding, and that goes for me as well. I don't vibe code the back end. You know, I've done some demos on the live streams, where
mhm.
I do things just for demonstration purposes, but for my deployment, I would never do this live because there's a lot of dudes out there just lurking in the shadows, waiting for you to slip, right? Where you expose an API key or you expose a vulnerability, next thing you know, your app is in their hands. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful with that. And the best thing to do is once you vibe code something, even if it's in alpha status or beta status, or even it's ready for production, it is actually not ready for production. You got to do some security audit, find weak points, find whether they're going to be able to do SQL injection, whether they're going to be able to spoof your, any sort of API call to gain access, especially if you're going to be behind a paywall. If people are going to be spending hard-earned cash to use your applications, you got to make sure that their data is safe and secure. So before you deploy, if your back-end development is not your strong suit, pay somebody to do it for you. Know what I mean? And make sure the back end is secure and secure and secure. I can't stress that enough because a lot of guys got burnt because they think once they finish their vibe coding session, they can just deploy. You can't do that.
Yeah, and so can you vibe code the back end, or how would that work? I don't.
No, yeah, you absolutely can. But is it safe? No, it is not safe because the the AI coding assistant, what it does is the AI coding assistant doesn't really create anything out of thin air. It doesn't pull anything out of thin air, out of the ether. What it does is it goes through repositories, right? If you ask it for something, if it's like, I want to build a schema for my, let's say, my users, right? So what it does is it finds information on different repositories. Let's say I want to use Superbase, right? It finds the information on Superbase, but right now there are a lot of nefarious dudes out there who are spoofing these repositories where they create something similar but not quite the same. But then the AI finds that code that's actually a malicious code. All of a sudden, it bakes it into your backend. Now, whoever baked that code has a backdoor to your system. Therefore, you have to make sure that you verify that whatever code that's introduced into your backend, you have to verify that it's actually secure, that it's not coming from a third-party site that you know nothing about. Which is why it becomes very important to, if you are vibe coding the front end, find a strong back end developer. It might cost you a little bit, or bring him in as a co-founder, right? And truth be told, I'm not a strong back end developer either. So before I deploy anything right now, this is why I'm actually looking for a co-founder, a strong back end developer. Although I can handle it, right? But is it what I what I'm strong at? Is it what I want to focus on? No, I want to focus on the business side of things, and focus a little bit on the front end, and that's pretty much it. I need a specialist to make sure we run the right tools, to make sure we do the security audits, to make sure we do all the testing, we fix all the bugs, and when you deploy behind a paywall, everything is secure. And especially if you're doing things, for instance, my therapist app, I have a thing for lawyers as well. It has to be HIPAA compliant and GDPR compliant if you plan to release it in Europe, because they're very strict about that. That means you have to, if they ask you for to submit a report as to your compliance schema and your compliance documents, you have to be able to print that and send it to them, and then they might review it and say, "There's a risk here. You have to plug this hole." Da, 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 yada 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 yada. So all these things are into consideration. If you don't take them into consideration, it might turn around and bite you in the ass, and you might be opening up yourself up for litigation, for lawsuits and stuff like that. Especially if there's a breach and client data is stolen, or God forbid, identity theft or credit card stuff like that.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about. Well, I thought it was automatically secure once you use like certain, but now I know like
Yeah, no,
certain
no, it's not. I mean, listen, even Google gets penetrated at times. Even the freaking even the Pentagon, okay, gets freaking penetrated. So if it's man-made, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be 100% foolproof, but you put the ball
but
on your side. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's definitely something to think about. Definitely something to
Yeah, for
research
sure. Yeah,
else.
yeah. If people are going to
Oh,
pay to
man,
use your
that is
app, yeah, you have to be super, super careful.
okay. Yeah, definitely have to find a developer or something because I know nothing about security.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you got to vet these dudes properly. You could go on Upwork, or what's the other one? Fiverr,
Fiverr.
Fiverr, up, up,
Yeah,
up,
I
up.
can Upwork, Fiverr,
Yeah,
Craigslist. I can try to learn a little bit. I at least want to know a little bit of it, so when I'm vetting, hey, I know what you're talking about.
ex- yeah, exactly. Because they could tell you anything. You'd be like, all right, okay, it's going to cost you $5,000, but then it's a $500 job. you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But what's great though, Carl. Uh,
Hmm.
the great thing about it is, if you want to learn about all these things, it's actually quite simple. You don't have to do a whole lot of reading. If you're not an avid reader, just prompt the freaking chat GPT or Perplexity, say, hey, this is what I need to do, this is a case scenario, and tell me. Just school me like I'm a 5-year old. Explain it to me in freaking simple language. And that's the
Yeah,
entry point. You know what I mean? Just start there, and build a list, bullet points, of what do you need to do, what's the proper roadmap, what's the proper step by step, right, to deploy XYZ. And once you're ready to vet somebody, then you have your questionnaire ready, and they can't pull the wool over your eye, because you have the questions and the answers.
yeah. Oh man, now I'm gonna really study that other side, that security side.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that.
It's actually more important than the nice little front
Valuable.
end, that you know what I mean. It looks nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's slick, right? But what's under the hood? That's the important. It's like a car. It could be. Oh, yeah, I like the color, but yeah, how's the engine? How's the car? How's the alternator? How's the computer system? How's the catalytic converter? You know what I mean? You got to think about what's under the hood rather than the paint job.
So your stack, because I'm kind of really getting into stacks
Hmm.
right now. Like I really didn't understand. Like let's just say I started in AI Studio, and before deploying it, maybe I go to another somewhere else. Like, do I just copy the code there? Is that what you call stacks?
No, the stack if you want a Discord survey, you could check it out later. You see my tech stack. The tech stack is basically the architecture that you use. For instance, for um, for duh, 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 for the therapy app, my therapist app, I used uh, React Native. Okay, React Native is basically um, it's basically a bundle of tech that allows you to create different components. For instance, your bottom bar navigator. Every single Android app you launch, you'll see a bottom bar navigator, right? You see home, then you might see settings, you might see profile, you might see different things. Depends on the app. You see what I'm saying, right?
Okay.
And then sometimes you might have the drawer, like the sidebar that swings in from the left or whatnot, right? So
Hmm.
these components are pre-built for you, and all you got to do is basically implement your own color scheme and uh, customize it for your use case. So that's one portion of the tech stack. So it's the technology stack, right? So you have React Native. So usually what I do, I use React Native plus, let's say, TypeScript, right? TypeScript is a language. Is basically it's based on JavaScript. What it does is, as you develop, it it catches your errors as you code. Therefore, you don't have to wait till you develop a whole stack and then you find there's a lot of bugs and you got to go back and retrace your steps to try to find the bug. But now it finds the bugs per line. As you write the line or per page, it finds it for you. Then you could fix the bugs as you go. So I use React Native, TypeScript, and I might use, let's say, Tailwind
So,
CSS, right? And also,
so you can vibe code in that. You can
say
vibe
what now?
code in Native to
Say
catch the
what now?
bugs.
Yeah,
Like while you're vibe coding, it'll catch the bugs.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's called Native. Is it something that you download or is software like how you like?
Well, React Native in fact, before I explain the whole, because it's a lengthy process, but I can show you uh,
Okay.
better than I can tell you. Let me switch screens for a second. Okay, so I didn't think I was going to
All
do
right.
a tutorial right now, but
Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. I'm driving anyway, so
no, it's no. So, are you driving?
yeah,
Well, I hope
I'm
your
driving.
hands free. You got your Bluetooth on.
Um, yeah, I got my Bluetooth on. Yeah, definitely.
All right, good.
I got my Bluetooth on, so I'll probably have to catch the replay on that one.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so React Native, right? Let me just bring it up here real quick.
Mhm.
So React Native, it's a library, right? Think of it as a library, and within that library, you have a lot of components where you could pull to give you the building blocks of your app. So if you keep your eyes on the road though. If you glance at the screen real quick, you'll see these um, um, visual elements. Okay, so you can do
Mhm.
things for Windows, for iOS, for OS 10, Android, and you could do so many things. So what happens is once you want to deploy uh, what we call scaffolding for a project, you could basically use that library to build a foundation. Therefore, if I say, okay, npx install, it'll start bringing in React Native components where it'll create a folder structure for me, where I'll have the source folder, where I'll have the components, right, where I'll have the pages, and everything in between. So what that allows you to do is, instead of writing everything yourself, it creates a structure for you, and it creates the pages where all you got to do is fill out. It's basically me giving you a PDF file, right, or you doing your taxes. when you get your tax form, right? Whether it's online or you go to HR Block or whatever, right? The form's already built for you. All you got to do is fill it in, right? So you know your name, your tax number, blah blah blah, this and that. Whether you're an LLC, you know what I mean. So picture React Native as that, a form that you fill in or you fill out. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Right. So that's what React Native is. It gives you the blank canvas where you fill it in yourself. So that's why no two apps are going to look the same, although it's the same components. You have the bottom bar, you still have the sidebar, you have the title, you have this your um, if you have for instance a sign up page, a sign in page, you could design it whatever you want. You can have rounded corners, you can change the colors, you can change the font, you can change the icons. So it's basically a blank canvas where you could build on. So that's React Native. Once you have React Native, I also use Expo. What Expo allows me to do is basically um, once I spin the once I spin the structure for my app, I can scan a QR code, right? It presents me with a QR code where I can scan it. See, right, I'm holding my phone. Right now, I can scan the QR code and it basically brings the app to my phone so I can work on it wirelessly as long as we're on the same network. So I connect to my Wi Fi and I can, as I develop the app on the computer, I don't have to use an emulator because you could use an emulator as well. But now I can use a real device, a real phone, where I could basically just swipe, do different things. And I see, maybe the text is too big, the text is too small. So I can move things around. So I'm actually working in the real world rather than working in an emulator. Emulator is great, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing like working on a real phone. And then a lot of the times, what I do, I use my phone and I also pull up my tablet, okay, and to see what it looks like on on a bigger screen, on a smaller screen, and I'm able to gauge. All right, this is not working, or if I need to do a complete redesign for tablet, or use the same design for tablet and smaller screens, that type of stuff. So that's a tech stack to answer your question. And within the tech stack, also, that's just the front end, right? And I could use glass morphism to give you that sort of like glassy, transparent, this beautiful effect. I could use Vite. Vite is a protocol that allows you when you're whatever you do, it refreshes automatically for you, so you don't have to refresh, your web app or your mobile app. I could use TurboPack as well. TurboPack is part of the stack as well. All that is in the Discord, so you can look at my tech stack. And if you don't understand anything, just copy everything. Go to ChatGPT or Perplexity, paste it in, and say, explain this stack to me, and then it'll break it down for you. So that is a tech stack. And then I get into either if I'm going to use Superbase or I'm going to use Docker for my backend. So I develop my backend locally before I deploy it, to production. So I do, all my backend stuff is basically done locally. And I've done some on Superbase just to experiment a little bit, but you don't want to keep hitting the server back and forth as you develop. And then some of my developing sessions are 12 hours. So I don't want to be hitting their servers because otherwise I get blocked. You know what I mean? So what I do is I develop locally. Then if I need to test it on Superbase, then I push to Superbase, test it out, and then go back to local development. So that way I'm not hitting up a bunch of API keys and server hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. Oh man, I got a lot more work to do. A lot more.
Hey, hey, both you and me, bro. I still got a lot of work to do as well. I don't know shit. I'm just,
You
you know,
know more- way,
huh?
you know way more than me.
Well, it may be a little bit, but I'm not that far ahead. I'm a student of the game, just like you, just like everybody else. And it's let me tell you, man, the journey is freaking amazing. It's awesome, and it's just one of those things. Like I said, 5 years ago, it was impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use this thing called Kabini that
Mm-hmm.
somebody asked me to try. A lot of people don't know about it. And it lets you deploy and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's supposed to be an all-in-one app. And when I did the app, I thought it was great. It had the music. It took me a while. It had the music while the person was talking. It had, the tracking, everything of Kabini. But
Okay.
now
So
I'm like, man, I can go a little further.
yeah, because then the possibilities are endless, especially if you want to incorporate computer vision, AI vision, and do all sorts of things. It's the possibilities are endless. It's going to be
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be amazing to experiment, and it gets better because remember we're in 2025. We're in June right now. I guarantee you by the end of the year, what's going to be possible is going to be. I don't know if you used to watch Star Trek and shit back in the day.
Mhm. Okay.
Captain James T. Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
that's that's the kind of shit we're gonna be seeing. Remember the what do they call it? The replicator. Replicator coffee, and then coffee materializes out of this dispenser or whatnot. And this is what's going to be possible, where AI will be able to do things that we never imagined possible. And it's going to be one of those things, it's either you're in or you're out. And I'm glad to see a lot of brothers just getting in the game because, I met a lot of resistance. Even when Chat GPT dropped, I was telling dudes like, yo, you got to get on that stuff. They were like, nah, I'm good. I was like, what do you mean you're good? It's just one of those things. You're going to be left behind. Trust me. And now, of
Well,
course, a lot of them are embracing it, even if it's just to be used as a search engine. Even if just at that, you got to get in the game.
so so I hate this conversation on a public platform, but we'll have it anyway since we kind of started with a brother's thing. The thing about brothers and sisters, they always get thrown, and I found myself in this cycle, and
Hmm.
I see it all the time. They always get thrown the bottom of the barrel, a distraction, and the distraction with AI was the image generation stuff. That was a distraction to keep us away from what really matters, right?
True, true,
The-
so true.
Right. So the the, the thing is now, hey guys, stay away from that stuff. We get it. It's easy now. Let's start building stuff, building our own stuff now. The technology is here. It's not as complicated. Forget an ebook. You can do an ebook in a minute now. So let's get some search. Let's get some things like that. So I guess that's a struggle to be like, hey, stay away from the distractions. The shiny apple.
Hmm.
You should
Yeah,
get
it's
your own
it's so
shiny apple to make.
yeah, it's so true, man. It's so true because it's almost like remember, dude, David Copperfield. You know, the right hand is doing the right hand is doing the magic over here, but the left hand is actually that's where the real magic is happening, and then you get distracted, and you end up
Right.
eating crumbs, or we don't have a seat at the table, you know. And
Right.
yeah, at the end of the day, we have to be proactive. We have to be instead of being consumers, we got to be producers. You know, because if you're not producing, you're just going to consume whatever everybody else is producing, and then you become dependent. And at the end of the day, I mean, also, I mean, we're getting in the game, yes, but are we actually the dudes behind the LLMs? Are we actually the dudes behind creating the infrastructure? Sadly, we don't own any of that infrastructure yet. But imagine if dudes like, instead of doing foolishness, dudes like Jay Z or Diddy would invest money into real research, AI research, into African studies or holistic living for Black folk.
Yeah.
Imagine the advancements, you know what I mean? But right now we're basically using everybody else's platform. Even this platform we're speaking on right now. We don't own that shit. We don't own that infrastructure. So if they decide to shut
Right.
me down
But
right now, I have no recourse. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah. But the knowledge isn't there, like sort of like getting a secondhand book. Once they pass it, they'll pass them a secondhand book. So that's part of the issue too.
Sure thing.
So
Yeah. But we got to remain vigilant, proactive, and participate. And that's the least we could do. We got to participate because the sad thing is, we spent I think $1.2 trillion annually on bullshit.
yeah,
So if that money were to be spent on meaningful things, create our own curriculum, our own education system, our own banking system, would be as powerful as a small European nation. Point blank.
yeah. I think we have because of the Chat GBTs and the Deep Seeks and the Gemini AI Studio, and pretty much on a freemium level at this point. I think we have a chance to kind of get a peek behind the curtain. That's why I left the whole art thing alone. I was like, this is a trap. That's why I'm now more trying to get in the building. And even though they let us in the building, I'm sure there's a next level like AI vision and stuff like that. So that's why my focus, and that's why I'm preaching that, like, hey, let's start building.
Sure.
And stop trying to sell each other ebooks and pictures and all that crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Ebooks are so 90s or 2000s. That ship has sailed. We're on a different level right now. If you're not creating, if you're not building, you want some BS, you want some bull, you know. So listen, I encourage everybody. I encourage everybody to get involved, and that's why I'm preaching about it. That's why I'm just putting it out there, and I dedicate my time to whatever little knowledge I have. That's why I don't I share. Anybody, what do you want to know? All right, cool. I'm always
No.
open to a conversation. You know what I mean? That's who we
Yeah,
are.
because I'm in the holistic world. Yeah, I'm in the black holistic world, and they sort of hate AI. And I was talking to a founder of a school, a
Mm,
black holistic school,
right.
and I broke it down like this. I said, AI is your Aaron and you're Moses. You have the brains, you have the verbiage. AI just translated for you,
True.
and then
Yeah.
it clicked. So now we're at the task of getting her community, holistic community. They're good at what they do manually, but we're at the task of automating. And, making, having the advantage of AI, of putting in diagnostic, results in AI and spitting out results.
Definitely. Yeah. Because we don't even know what's possible yet. Like I said, we're barely scratching the surface, and what's about to happen is going to be revolutionary.
Yeah. And we got to get on board. We got to get on board with cryptocurrency. We got to get on board with blockchain. We got to get on board with AI.
Definitely.
We got a lot of work. Got a lot of
Most
work to do.
yeah, most definitely. And hey, I'm here for the ride. I'm here for the journey. And listen, my brother, we got to get out of
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah. Same here.
yeah, so listen, drive safe, all right, and
Mhm.
just drop in on the Discord once in a while. I'm going to be posting some stuff, and then
Cool.
I'm here if you have any questions. Just drop me a message on Discord, and then we'll chop it up.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'll be watching the replay.
All right,
Thank you.
brother. All right,
All right. Bye.
all right. Peace. But all right, guys, that was Carl B. Yes, sir. Yeah, that was a good convo. Hey, listen, guys. This is why it's important to keep an open mind to AI, to keep an open mind to what's happening right now, because we're at a crossroads. Um, Picture this as this is the late '80s and the '90s when the internet boom happened, where things were jumping off, so to speak, and we're at that space right now where we can use AI for good or for evil. Okay, we can use it for nefarious purposes, or we can use it for holistic purposes. And it all depends which camp you're in. So you gotta pick and choose. And if you choose the side of good, you'll be on the right side of history. And I can tell you, I'm so happy to be able to experience these sorts of advancements, which wasn't possible just a few short years ago. And now what we can accomplish is just astronomical. And what's going to happen by the end of the year, by next year, is going to be phenomenal. So now's the time to build and solve real life problems with solutions powered by the artificial intelligence. And of course, the driving force will always be you, because nothing will replace the human ingenuity, the human mind. But the AI can enhance it for the better or for worse. But then, me being the eternal optimist, I'm going on the side of good. So once again, Indio AI right here, chopping it up, talking about my AI journey, vibe coding journey. So let's keep the conversation going. And don't forget, if you are dropping in, drop a like, as we want to push the stream to more people. If you haven't subscribed, do so. And I'm right here. Just ask me anything you want, and I'll be right back. I need a short break. I'll be right back. But in the meantime, any questions, drop them in the chat or jump on the Discord. Server's wide open. Let's chop it up. And we're back. Well, all right, all right, all right. Where were we? So we were talking about my vibe coding journey. I believe I was at we talked about Omniprop, which is a property management. So uh, property managers will be able to manage everything, to collect rent, um, submit repair jobs, or track everything, and even the lease signing, right, with electronic signature and all that stuff. Renewal, all sorts of things. So it's pretty extensive, and also there's a listing uh, portal as well. So if property managers want to list different properties, so there's also contingency for that. And excuse me. Then we have Salvage. Salvage is a platform that I actually I was doing some research uh, on food waste around the world, and the I don't really have the numbers offhand. I mean, I'll do an episode on that at some point. Um, Salvage is basically it addresses a problem that exists around the world, and I believe some government have addressed the problem by introducing some legislature that some laws that handles that problem, where tons and tons of food are wasted yearly, whether it's from restaurants or from supermarkets and farms and stuff like that, right? And what's my idea for Salvage is basically it's a daily thing. It's an app, right? It's an app where we'll be able to partner with local. For instance, let me give you a couple of use cases. Example, for instance, a bakery, right? Bakeries, they bake in the morning and they sell their stock, and then at the end of the day, whatever's left, they either give it away or they throw it away. Or a supermarket, they have stuff on the shelves that's gonna expire, soon. Of course, you can't sell expired goods, right? Another use case, small scale farm. They have a bunch of tomatoes, which is perishable, heavily perishable, so they don't want to lose it. Therefore, they could hop on the platform and say, today's special, right? We have X amount. Let's say the bakery. We have X amount of loaves of bread at 50% off or 70% off or whatever, right? And you on the app, so of course it'll be geolocation based. So you could reserve. You could say, all right, I need 2 loaves, and once you reserve those 2 loaves of bread, maybe a croissant or whatnot, then you're able to actually, then you get a confirmation that this item is reserved for you. Let's say you're at work and you want to pick it up after work. So you have a window. Let's say the establishment might say, okay, we don't want to lose it in case you don't show up. We don't want to lose the item. So you could show up between, let's say, 5 and 6 to 5 and 7 p.m. or 4:30, depending on when you get out of the work, or when you get out of work or whatnot. So then you could basically say, all right, I'm going to pick it up between this time. And if you don't show up, it's gone and automatically give it to somebody else, right? So you could basically, once you reserve it, a QR code is generated. Once you show up at the establishment, you show your QR code, they scan it, they see their order, then it's packed and ready for you. They give you pay the establishment. We don't handle the payment. So the only thing we do is we charge a small fee to both parties. So that means the establishment will pay a subscription fee and the users will pay a subscription fee, because you'll save a lot of money in the end, and then you won't waste a lot of food in the process. So that is Salvage. Also, restaurants, same thing. If you have a lot of food, before closing time, you say, hey, we close at 11, between 9 and 11 p.m., or between 11 p.m. to, whatever time, 10 to 12 midnight. This is available at 60% off or 70% off or 90% off. So you want to come pick it up, Boom. So this is Salvage. That's a platform to address, food wastage when it comes to, restaurants and bakeries and any sort of food outlet. That's what Salvage is all about. So, any questions, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat? Just chime in, drop in, and talk to me. If you have any questions, go ahead. And if you haven't liked the video, if you haven't liked the stream, just drop a like. It's we got 79 views so far, but we only got 3 likes. That is abysmal, guys. That is pitiful. And I realized something though, because I was on the back end today. I'm looking at the analytics, and 83% of people who watch the streams day in day out are not subscribed. That is a shame. Just it doesn't cost you anything, guys. Just subscribe to the channel. Just drop me a like. It doesn't cost you anything, and it goes a long way because we're on the road to 500 subscribers. And I want to be able to bring you guys more content, lots more coming up. Share the journey where I'll be launching um, my startup because now the build process is basically almost done. I went the first phase anyway. I got the MVPs. Now I'm going through a triage process where I'll choose what I want to release first, and then some of these projects are going to be sold on the market. So stay tuned. So in the meantime, I am right here. So, got any questions? Go ahead, shoot. And also the Discord server is wide open. So if you want to jump in, chop it up. I am right here. So let's go. Let's talk about it. Yeah. So we're still here, guys. We are here. Yeah. So for this particular build right here, one thing that I haven't done actually is this is just a web implementation. So I haven't done the third party integration. For instance, if we want to integrate with popular CRM systems, um, if we want to implement sort of like different email marketing platforms like Zapier and stuff, and so on and so forth. Create social media publishing integration, add payment processor integration. We haven't done that, so you know, um, uh, Stripe and stuff like that. So we can implement third-party analytics platform connections through API. And again, I haven't touched the mobile application for this. So iOS and Android, of course. Push notification, offline functionality, and so on and so forth. And for enterprise features, so I'm thinking implementing organization level accounts. So it's just like multi-tenant architecture. Create team management functionality, role-based access control within organizations. Implement resources isolation between tenants, of course. It's very important. Create organizational level analytics. Again, very important. Advanced AI capabilities. Implement predictive analytics, not analysis. Predictive analytics. All right. Add personalized content recommendations. Create automated workflow optimization. Implement natural language processing for customer integration. Add AI powered decision support tools. Boom. So these are quite advanced features, which I'm not going to be touching now, not anytime soon anyway, probably version 2 or version 3. And enterprise security and compliance, we're going to implement SOC 2 compliance features, GDPR, definitely, compliance, especially for the European Union, GDPR compliance tools, create comprehensive audit logging. So, again, auditing, very important. Implement data retention policies and add advanced encryption options. All very important when it comes to developing, deploying enterprise ready SaaS, right? Because this is going to be software as a service. Because once we start building AI automation, different solutions for enterprises, security becomes a huge factor. So we got to be able to accommodate all that. So, any questions? Jump in. The Discord is wide open. Let's go. All right, boys and girls. Here we are. Here we are. What do we have? What we got here? All right, next project. I mean, we're at number 9. So, number 10 on the list of the project that I've developed over the past 6 months. So, 20 projects. That was a challenge, and the challenge ended yesterday. So, today's the recap of what I was able to achieve over the past 6 months. And truth be told, just a couple of years ago, that would have been impossible to have all these products to reach MVP status or alpha status, where I could basically demo them. It's fully functional. And so we just finished talking about salvage, for a solution that addresses food wastage around the world. So the next one is it's a little bit more lighthearted. It's AIM. AIM is an acronym. It's Alpha. See, I don't even remember Alpha. Hang on a second. Let me pull up my. I know it's Alpha Mastery, but what's the I? Let me tell you guys exactly what it means. Bear with me. So it's Alpha Impact Mastery. So Alpha Impact Mastery, that's AIM. Alpha Impact Mastery. So it's basically it's a platform that that's geared towards men stuff, masculinity. You know what I mean? To whether it's grooming, self defense, finances, stoicism, a bunch of different things that basically to keep you in your masculine frame, so to speak. Because now all people talk about is toxic masculinity and all that. So we got to reclaim our masculinity. So whether it's fitness, body image, body language, speech, self defense, martial arts, that type of stuff. So that is what AIM aims to do. See what I did there? Yeah, so that's pretty much what AIM is all about. So if you guys have any questions, once again, chime in. The Discord is wide open, so if you want to chime in and have a little conversation about AI and whatnot, the line's open. Discord is in the description, or scan the QR code on the screen right now and jump in and have a conversation with me. So that is AIM, ladies and gents. AIM Alpha Impact Mastery. Yes, sir. So before we move on, any questions? Any questions from the viewers? Don't be shy, guys. All right, moving on. All right, good. So, Mind Nest. That was the 11th project. So, Mind Nest is it's another therapy app. If you notice, this is the second therapy app. If you remember here, number 6 was Thera. Thera is mostly based on real human interactions. So you're able to communicate with a live therapist, a human therapist. Mind Nest is AI powered. So for people who feel more comfortable talking to an AI, and less comfortable, just talking to a human's therapist, this is perfect. So with this platform, you'll be able to have personalized um, insights delivered to you daily. There's a mood tracker as well, so you'll be able to track your mood. And then over time, the AI will be able to suggest different things, to understand what are your triggers, what triggered this sort of behavior or this um, mindset on this particular day, and it will be able to tailor its responses or its recommendations to you over time. So that's Mind Nest, which is a pretty cool solution. So you could chat with your AI companion, which is pretty cool. All right. So that is Mind Nest. So any questions? Let's go. Shoot. Alrighty then. So let's continue. So number 12, we have Atlas or Arc. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, either Atlas or Arc. Atlas is basically an app. It's an app that was suggested by a viewer, right? And so I decided to build it. Atlas is an interactive research canvas that allows you to enter certain parameters, right? And as an agency, for instance, if you're an ad agency and you onboard a client, you'll onboard the brief, you'll upload the brief to Atlas or Arc, right? And it'll be able to actually just go out as agents, search the web to find different, let's say you want to build a mood board, or you want references or something similar on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram. It'll pull all these sources and it'll create these little bubbles that it will then populate the canvas. And then these bubbles are draggable. You can rearrange them as you please. And at some point, I'll do a visual, with each app individually to show actually the flow and how things work. So you're able to bring in all these sources, whether it's Reddit, Facebook, whether it's Twitter. So you're able to bring in these sources. So when you're having a brief with your client, you don't have to keep switching tabs or pull up this link, play that video. So you're able to have everything on that canvas. So once you have all these bubbles, you can click on the bubble. If it contains a video, the video will pop up and you start playing it right away. You click another video, it'll pop up. You click on a audio source, it'll play the audio. You click on a text source, it'll play it. An article, it'll display it on the canvas. It's a pretty nice workflow. I'm quite pleased with that one. So that is Atlas or Arc, ARC. So that's pretty much it for this build. The canvas is pretty nice. It's the draggable feature and then these bubbles that brings up all these different sources on one canvas, so which is pretty cool. So that is Atlas slash Arc. Alrighty. So let's proceed. Let's continue. What is next? What's next on the list? We got FitMeld. FitMeld. Let me bring up my notes here. What do we have here? What we got going on here? Okay, so FitMeld. Let's highlight that for you guys. That's number 13. Yeah. FitMeld. It's a fitness application designed specifically for adults, right? So, a lot of these apps are geared towards the younger generation, but I want to target something, for the 30 plus, 30 and 50 and up, right? So the app leverages AI technology to provide personalized adaptive fitness experiences that prioritizes flexibility, strength, and leanness. So that's, it's not, if you want to bulk up, if you want to do crazy things, establish PRs and, and deadlifts and stuff like that, this is not the app. So that is FitMeld. And again, it's this AI powered component, which again, AI vision is definitely going to be incorporated where we could do form analysis and form correction. Let's say if you're doing a squat, right? Or let's say a deep squat, and how not to, to have the wink in the back, or have to, to safeguard your knees. If you have knee issues, how do we address that? How is the AI going to tailor, customize some exercises for you according to your ailments or your disabilities or whatnot? So that is FitMeld. All righty. FitMeld. Any questions? I'm gonna stop asking, so you guys know what to do. If you got any questions, just go ahead. All right. Next is Sentinel Shield. Sentinel Shield is actually it's an interesting build. So I'm gonna have to spend some more time on this because of the nature of the build. It's Sentinel Shield is an advanced cybersecurity platform that leverages AI to detect threats that traditional systems miss. So this is where it becomes really important to make sure that as a security threat uh, program, you have to be able, you are as secure as can be. It would be ironic that you're a security, you're a cybersecurity app, and then, yeah, you become a victim. It happens, but again, you got to put the ball in your court. So that is a Sentinel Shield. There was another app that I had built, but I kind of shelved it for now. But it's also called Sentinel. Sentinel is basically, it's a lawyer app. If you get stopped in traffic by the cops, and the cops are being belligerent and being stupid, so you could there's a SOS button. You hit it, and you have access to a lawyer within the vicinity of where you are. Not necessarily your neighborhood, but any neighborhood. A lawyer will be able to assist you if you get into a tight spot with the law. So that Sentinel Shield is the cybersecurity, and Sentinel is the law thing. It's a lawyer, right? And next, we're going to talk about AgriScan. I talked about that earlier with some folks in the chat. I believe it was Vok. I don't want to butcher the name again because he actually tried to correct me, but I completely butchered it. It was Vivok Media. So AgriScan is basically a farm management system. It's a farm and seed bank. So for the seed bank, you're able to conduct germination tests and catalog everything and then make sure everything is tracked properly. So you'll get alerts when things are supposed to be tested, when you're supposed to rotate seeds, and what's about to expire, and so on and so forth. And of course, on the farm side, you're able to scan different plants to detect diseases, to detect, to do soil sampling, to do humidity analysis, moisture analysis, all sorts of different things. So that is AgriScan. Yeah. Next. All right. This one was a fun one. There's a Bible social. Bible social is basically um, it's more like a you could do Bible study. You could have a social sort of interaction with it. Pastors could craft their sermons. They could schedule church outings, events, stuff, activity for children with a Sunday school and whatnot, Bible studies and all that type of stuff. And of course, you got your daily Bible verse that's delivered into to your app directly. So that's pretty much Bible social. Number 17, you got smoke free AI. Smoke free AI is something that I think would be very beneficial to a lot of vapors and smokers. So if you want to vape and smoke, you want to stop vaping and smoking, the AI will assist you and create um, an environment for you to actually be free to express yourself, and you get daily affirmations, and you could even set up interventions. You can set up accountability partners and stuff like that. So, and the AI will guide you through your journey. So that's smoke free AI. Alrighty, questions. Right, let us continue. Then we have Beard Swag. Beard Swag is an e-commerce platform, um, but with a twist. It has a try-on feature. So guys who want to nurture their beard, who want to grow their beard, and they want to start their journey, you can scan your face or real live AI feedback where you could actually superimpose different styles of beard on your face to see what it would look like before you actually grow a beard. And then on the platform, you'll be able to buy different things: beard balm, beard oil, beard butter, combs, brushes, different accessories, kits, and stuff like that. So that is Beard Swag AI uh, try-on feature for the apps, and of course, there's a web portal as well where you could buy stuff and all kinds of swag and stuff, merch and everything. BizMuse. BizMuse is a content generation platform that allows businesses who don't want to pay an arm and a leg to create content for their businesses. You'll be able to create content through the platform, AI generated content, whether it's short videos, whether it's posts, copy, different things. So that is BizMuse. Yeah. Questions? Anyone? Hey, don't forget the Discord is wide open. So if you want to chop it up, just jump on the Discord and let's chop it up. Let's have a little conversation. Well, all right, y'all. So here we go. Here we go. So these are the 20 projects, guys. So a few years ago, this would have been impossible to do, and then here we are, 20 projects. So we have Indio AI, which is my main startup page. MQuiz, which is the music quiz application, the music theory application. AOTC and Cooler2, these are directory sites. Glycemic Go is an app to scan food items that will give you the glycemic index of any food, and it'll tell you whether it's good for diabetics or not. It'll give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and it'll suggest an alternative. Thera is a therapy app that will connect you to a human therapist. OnPath is a meditation app. Again, that'll create a meditation roadmap for you according to your level of expertise. And OmniProp is a property management software that will allow you to manage rent collection, uh, from vetting to rent, to lease signings to manage your caretaker for what do you call it, repair services, stuff like that. So you can schedule everything in the app, and renewal and all sorts of things. As OmniProp Salvage will address the food wastage in industry. I talked about that earlier, so you can go back and listen to that segment. AIM is Alpha Impact Mastery is something for masculinity, to help guys and achieving their true potential, whether it's a financial, martial arts, fitness, uh, hygiene, all sorts of things. Uh, Anything masculine, yeah. Mind Nest again is a therapy app, but this one is more focused on your AI companions. The AI, if you don't feel comfortable talking to a human therapist, this is for you. So that's Mind Nest. Atlas is a platform for um, ad agencies that want to aggregate content where they want to present it to their clients in the same canvas, and it's a bubble system that you could move around. It's draggable. It's quite interesting. At some point, I'll do a breakdown of every project, separately. But right now, it's just the recap of my build. Then we have FitMeld. FitMeld is an AI powered fitness app that focuses on the older crowd, with AI vision that will allow you to for form correction and stuff like that. And it'll cater exercises according to your ailments or your injuries or whatnot. If you have knee problems, but it'll take that into consideration when crafting exercises for you. Sentinel Shield is a cybersecurity platform, AI powered, that will, basically, I'm saying it'll be ironic if Sentinel Shield got hacked, because as a cybersecurity platform, you're supposed to be on top of your stuff, on top of your game. But hey, it happens. AgriScan is basically a farm and seed bank management system that will allow you to manage your seeds, your germination schedule, and when to rotate seeds, and all that type of stuff. And for the farm, soil analysis, where you now you also be able to scan your plants to detect diseases and do all sorts of stuff. And that's AgriScan. Next is Bible Social. Bible Social is essentially a platform for churches, for the religious crowd, where you'll be able to have Bible studies for the young, for the children. The pastors will be able to craft their sermons and schedule events, church field trips and whatnot. So this is pretty much what Bible Social is, and you'll have a social sort of component to it, where you'll have groups where you could discuss certain things, youth group, and pastors and elders and that type of stuff. So there's Bible Social. And we have Smoke Free AI. Smoke Free AI, I think, is something that could help a lot of folks, especially those who are struggling with trying to trying to quit vaping or smoking, the AI will be able to set, to stage interventions. They'll be able to send you sort of like affirmation, daily affirmation, that type of stuff, and to help you through different, breathing, whether it's breathing exercises, meditation, that type of stuff, to help you uh, on your journey to quit smoking or vaping and whatnot. What else? And we have Beard Swag. Beard Swag is a platform, is an e-commerce platform but it's a two prong. You got the e-commerce platform that sells, beard balm, beard oil, beard butter, combs and brushes and stuff like that. Kits. With the app, you have the ability to scan your face, or using your front-facing camera, you're able to try on different styles of beard before you actually commit to a certain, to growing a style. I mean, your style is going to be your style, but you could see what you'd look like with different styles of beard. So it'll be all AI generated. So you could scan your face and then see what you look like with different styles of beard. So that's beard swag. Number 19, we got BizMuse. BizMuse is essentially a platform for content creation for business owners or small businesses who don't have a huge budget to create digital assets for their ads. You could create, short videos, or, copy, or, static sort of, Instagram reel, that type stuff. And so that's BizMuse, to create, posts for social media. And at number 20, we have AimSort. AimSort is essentially a platform that will allow you to sort photos by subject. This again is AI driven, where you'll be able to dump a bunch of images in a folder, and it'll sort them out for you. It'll write the metadata. It'll sort them by category, by genre, and make sure everything is well organized for you. If you're an ad agency, if you're a photographer, if you uh, create a lot of digital assets, photographic assets, then this will be a great tool for anybody who wants to organize their digital assets properly. So that's AIM Sort. So that, ladies and gents, is 20. I'm losing my voice right now. I'm getting a little hoarse. That's 20 projects over the past 6 months. And again, it would have been virtually impossible to build all these projects to MVP status, to alpha status, where I could actually run them and showcase them and demo them for anyone. So this is pretty much this is the journey. Now it's time to the building. The first phase of the building process is done. So now I need to get the back end done, which I'm looking for a technical back end specialist as a co-founder, and a really crack marketing guru. So we can craft a strategy to get these things out there, to get them in front of people. Because without marketing, these are dead in the water. Because marketing is a huge part of the equation. So marketing has to be done. But before that, of course, once I reach beta, um, there'll be opportunities for people to jump in and test some of these apps. So join the Discord if you haven't done so. The QR code is on the screen right now, or the link is in the description. So feel free to join the Discord. And if you haven't done so, drop a like, because we're at 91 views right now, and we only have 3 likes. So don't be stingy, guys. Drop a like on the video so the algorithm could push it to more people. Excuse me. So that's pretty much it, guys. So I'm not gonna be here much longer. So I think I'm gonna call it. I'll call it a day. I'm probably gonna be another 5 or 6 minutes. We've been on for 3 hours and 24 minutes. So I say 3 hours and a half, 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna click it off. And in the meantime, the Discord's still open. So if you have any questions, you can jump in and talk to me, or drop a question in the chat, and I'll be glad to answer you. In the meantime, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. We're halfway there. Let's go. Let's get it done. Hey, hey, hey. Well, all right, ladies and gents. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in. Just about to get out of here. It's your last chance to drop a like on the stream. And of course, it'll be available for playback after the stream is over. So if you wanna hit me up on Discord, just join the Discord server. The QR code is right. It's on the screen right now. Just drop a like, subscribe to the channel. On the road to 500 subscribers. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for joining. And again, Vibe Coding Journey, 20 apps in 6 months. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. Mission accomplished. Now the real work begins. Back in and start deploying some of these apps and sell some of these. Let's go. This is NDOAI. Thank you for tuning in. Peace out.